Hello. Balding, Norman Woodstock, Barebone, Buzzard Broadcasting. I'd like to remind you of something that occurs and is evident. That the psychological advice to this planet's living for a long time is garbage. And the root and core of its nightmare. And only that. This planet is all by itself and there is no superior beings talking to it or with it or ever had anything to do with it at all. And the psychological advice is why that crap floats, because it's so weak and garbage. Is the reason you have all your superstitions and everything here. All the problem comes from and the reflection of the poor psychological advice given to each one of you from birth to death. Do you understand that? Now that is more emphatic than anything that can intimidate with you, anything that can, where's the word, was it, enforcement? Are you enforced here? What enforced you? Birth is the only thing that ever enforced you. To avoid the grave and trade enforcement for the grave is a dumb idea. To take enforcement, the elephant would rather take the grave. It's unfortunate they don't stand their ground and just plain stand there in front of you and starve to death. Would you feed them intravenously? What could you force an elephant to eat? Why? Unfortunately, the elephant eats. And if you didn't trick the thing, you probably wouldn't. There's nothing enforcing anything here. Can Adolf Hitler face you someday and say, I was enforced? And when he proves it, what would you do? When Adolf Hitler appears as a 18-month-old child, that's genuine and sweet, and reminds you of what happened in his life, that you see absolutely inclusively that there's no way he could be anything or lied about to, because what he'll remind you of during his life, and all the stuff happened before it, that you were so stupid that you would lie to yourself during his lifetime and cause him to be any significance at all, ever, in any way, then anyone from his whole existence would consider him something significant enough to use him as an excuse to say that he had something to do with their behavior. And that will be proven to you emphatically enough that you'll never get to see Adolf Hitler as an influence in anybody's behavior ever again, because your logic will realize that's just been a pile of malarkey. An enforcement to those who are dumb enough to not remember their own selves and realize that's a pile of malarkey. And all these enforcements come from those that are dishonest with themselves and will follow anything comes. They're dumber than sheep. They're dumber than cows and stampeding. There's nothing to compare a stupid human not thinking. There's no other thing on the earth as dumb as that. Bacteria, fungus is inferior. You can't find anything to compare that to. A human in malfunction. Don't compare it to anything. Nothing is that stupid. Nothing at all. Now, nothing is farther superior when the human is functioning. There is nothing superior. And when they do it in collective, it's an absolute immunity. And the whole place is a shudder. Because they're curious and happy and gleeful creatures. And anything that's sour is horrified of humans in their normal state. Do you understand? They are far from sour as you see them now. So far from that you won't even, the whole idea won't even appear in your mind at all. That's how far away they are. When they're informed and living up to that information about themselves. I'm a United States citizen. It takes one of those to know these things. Keep that in mind, planet. You're not allowed to know those things in your country. Here, United States, hold the echo of information to the existence of this place a treasure. In your land, you hate it. That's for sure. Don't you? And your temper tantrum provokes that, Europe, doesn't it? Look at Europe and their temper tantrum to the day. Spreading it everywhere to the day. Europe and their temper tantrum. All over the planet right now. You can hear it screaming. even those trying to hold some kind of control, have been affected by Europe so much, it entangles every effort humans make. Poor China. Which of Europe would have never, ever stepped foot in China? Would it be a nicer place or a worse place? Which would it be? Did Europe help China or hurt it? That's the question, isn't it? Or is it? Is it obvious that Europe never helped anything? Did it? Wasn't there to help. But didn't take advantage and rape and steal, rob the land, give back nothing but their stupid laws. Dumb. Today, Europe. Everybody, because of them. Now what? Have a confession to it. Leave them alone. We'll just leave them alone. Build a wall around them. In your mind. Not physically. You ain't got time to mess with Europe.